It's amazing to be here. I hope we can do an amazing performance. Just bring the whole MSB home.
I really hate losing, so I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure we don't lose.
I really want to go finals. For sure we can make it to finals, so easy peasy.
Only 2 more series to go today here for the Mid-Season Brawl for HGC, and we've had a caucus so far when it comes to our first 5. I'm joined by Jayhow, Tetcha, Wolf, who's been unleashed from the cage in the previous series. You enjoy casting, man? It was good?
I did. It's been a long time. I got to cast the first Deckard Cain game. I got to cast the first Valeera game. I'm feeling pretty lucky, if I'm honest with you.
That's nice. Yeah, good. That's why we unleashed you. Actually, it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't. So there you go. There you go. And our next focus is going to be on quite the cool fixture when it comes to North America going up against Korea. But we'll move on to that when we actually get to that, of course, because we've got some caretaking to do, some cleaning and etc. and things like that. And I want to ask you guys about what you thought about the Valeera specifically when it came from Method. Do you think that we will be seeing more of it? Do you think it has a lot of power? What are your expectations?
I feel the potential is there.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely going to be there. We look for those unique picks that tend to come out, and generally, once it comes through once, it kind of catches on. You have this inter-tournament meta. It's like, well, if they're doing it, then maybe that's kind of a secret formula that we can come up with. So I think things like that do tend to stand out, kind of like the old Zeratul. But Zeratul's already been shown. Maybe Valeera is having her time.
Well, let's check in with the schedule as well, as we have plenty of games so far with only 2 more to roll on through. And later on, we'll get Team Dingtas versus Method, a good old EU versus EU clash that I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to seeing. But now, Tempo Storm goes up against Ballistix. Tetcha, NA versus Korea.
Yes, it is a consistent matchup that has been consistently won by Korea. But that was also the case with EU and America all the way up until the Western Clash. America has been one to surprise, especially this year.
Yeah, let's check in with the groups as well, just to make sure that you know exactly how the results have been. Group B, we've had everyone play so far, and this is our one remaining match that has not had any fixtures to their names so far between Tempo Storm and Ballistix. So again, let's get right onto it, because ultimately, Tempo Storm going up against Ballistix is something that I'm excited to see. And then when you look at 2017, when we saw North America going up against Korea, we did still have a surprise result with, one of the members at least from Tempo Storm being on another team, of course.
Sure. I mean, we had Roll20 defeat Tempest at BlizzCon. We had DK lose to Cloud9 in 2015. America has occasionally taken games off Korea, but I don't think this series is going to be the case. Korea's looking back in full form. We had 4-0 so far for Korea for the day. I think we're ended with a 6-0. I think Ballistix comes to this as a big favorite.
We also have 2-0 for America for the day.
Oh, by the way, 23-0 last year, Roll20 versus MVP Black, never forget. Let's be real.
Have that on a shirt somewhere? Anyway, go on.
Yeah, actually, it's what I wear to bed every night as I look at a picture of Wolf.
Nice.
The Wolverine thing. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I've always kind of been like, look, North America, when is it going to happen? I think now is the time. As great as that meme has been.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, but you didn't hear it from me, So either way. But let's look at the teams, though. Stylistically, Ballistix versus Tempo Storm. The one thing that Ballistix has struggled with historically at times is when there is aggression in their face. That's one of the reasons why there's such a great rivalry. They're not a bad team fighting team. They're actually an excellent team fighting team, but they rely more on battleground control, map control.
Yeah.
But these are all things that Tempo Storm does incredibly well. They're also incredibly strong in team fighting. And there's a lot of those dynamics that have evolved throughout the year for this team, which is why this is so compelling to me to see this is their first true test right out of the gate.
What's your thoughts on Tempo Storm, Tetcha?
Tempo Storm, as I mentioned during some of the earlier games, in my opinion, they're one of the best teams to come out of America in a long time. They look really strong. It's an all-star team, basically. But it's Ballistix, though. They have so many results under their belt at this point, and they are probably one of the favored teams to win this entire tournament. Tempo are going to have to play out of their mind to have a chance here.
Ballistix, Wolf? I mean, not Ballistix, even Tempo Storm.
Well,
We're still on them.
I think what's really the big difference between Tempo Storm and Ballistix going into a tournament like this on day one, after we've had such a long period of time between league play ending and the mid-season brawl, is that Tempo Storm, I think, excels at creating a meta that suits them really well, and they can make a meta that's difficult to respond to early on in the tournament. Doesn't always last very long, but I think that Ballistix is a team that actually struggles to develop very deep into the meta. For example, when Ballistix had plays in tournaments they've won in the past, they have done well later in the tournament. That's when they've really come to the strides in drafting, but in the early parts of tournaments they have struggled. Whereas I think Tempo Storm will come up with some really cool drafts in this best of two, and I think Ballistix will struggle to respond potentially in the draft.
But I think I 100% agree with you. Every time they show up to an international event, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what is this draft? Why are you doing this, right? But this is a team that they did that in the early part of the year. It dominated within North America, that huge death ball composition, threw a lot of people off. They brought it to an international stage, had some success, but then eventually faltered towards the end. And it didn't work out. I feel they made some changes after that to prepare for the long term.
I'll go back to my original statement, Wolf. Ballistix?
So we have this squad that has always been very dominant in international events, but again, it is later in the events usually where that starts to really hit its strides, and that's in terms of drafting, right? Once the meta settles, for example, that's when Ballistix hits its strides. They're a team that, as Jao said, is great at controlling the macro aspect, controlling the early game, which is something that Tempo Storm excels at as well. But I think the biggest thing that I attribute to Ballistix' success internationally is their punish play against other regions. So if Tempo Storm tries an unusual comp, starts to fail with it, or struggles with it, or the execution is a little bit sloppy, I think that Ballistix is just going to shatter it, and punish it when those mistakes come through, if they come through.
Techo?
I agree. I think, especially due to the fact that Ballistix also has a couple very sneaky picks like the Samuro or even the Artanis on Battlefield, they are able to punish compositions that might not be expecting stuff like that, or even just punish play teams in general.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to, again, their macro control. If you look at their best battlegrounds, it can be stuff like Sky Temple, which I believe is their best battleground. Then you look at Infernal Shrines, but also Dragonshire. But then you go to the other side of the table here, and you've got Tempo Storm. One of their best battlegrounds has been Dragonshire. They've been completely dominant on that battleground. And there are things macro-wise that they are doing that a lot of other teams aren't doing. They find ways to gain control in the rotational advantage. They find different ways, and they have different compositions that they like to do that. I think if they can get a lot of picks or they've prepared different strategies, I think those are a lot of strengths that they can play to. However, again, they are against Ballistix, who, when they do get a lead or do get control, it is incredibly difficult to come back against them.
Well, as you guys mentioned, Ballistix can potentially have some tricks up their sleeve, and it's so tricky, in fact, that they duped our production staff. Switch seats.
The names were wrong.
Those tricky guys. Techo?
They also have, like you said, they are a little bit tricky. They are quite willing and quite proficient when it comes to Brax's Holdout, a map that basically no other team is really willing to do, but their win rate on it is pretty impressive.
So it gets banned out.
Yeah, probably. There we go. And so is Battlefield, the other map that Tempo Storm actually has been able to struggle on quite a bit.
That's the one.
Oh,
Go into Dragonshire. We know a lot about Ballistix when it comes to this map, to be honest, in the past.
I mean, Ballistix is a great macro team, and we talk about their control of the camps, we talk about their control of invading camps, for example. When Noblesse was on the roster, the term Noblesse invade, everyone knows, where you walk up to a camp, you steal it because the team's macro and the rotation is so good that just seeing that Muradin come forward makes you feel like you got to get out. They're really good at controlling the neutral camp on this map as well, and I think it's a strong map for Ballistix in general. I think it favors them.
See, that's the thing, is I want to see, this is Tempo's best map. 5-2 for Ballistix on the other side. Only a couple defeats, but they are known to control a lot of these really macro-heavy ones. And there is a lot of skirmishing and team fighting at times. Sometimes Dragonshire can be a very slow starting map, and then once level 10 hits, it really opens up. But I think this is one where Tempo Storm, they're bringing their best map, probably their best prepared draft, to make a statement here against Ballistix. So if they can pull this off, I mean, I think this is going to be your best bet. If they don't, however, what does that do to you psychologically?
Couldn't agree more. This is where they have to they either have to put up or shut up, quite frankly. This is the best possible scenario they're going to get here, really. They've shown nothing. They're coming into with Ballistix being completely blind to them on their best map. Can't get much better than that.
Right. Are there expectations on something like Tempo Storm, of course? Because, I mean, for Ballistix, they kind of come in as everyone feels like they're going to be the favorite. Does Ballistix have pressure on their shoulder? Who do you think has kind of more weight there?
For me, I think Ballistix is going to take this first series, the best of two, pretty seriously, but I think they're going to take it in an adaptive way, where Tempo Storm is the one that usually tries to do their own style, play their own style early in the tournament, like Jay was talking about earlier. And so Ballistix needs to respond and adapt. So it's going to be a very defensive play style, I think, in terms of the drafting, in terms of in-game. Once that first game is done, I think that's when the nerves go away. And I think that Ballistix is going to feel very confident going into the second game once they felt Tempo Storm out.
Do you have any picks that you think might be prominent here between the two teams? Any thoughts?
If you go back to Eastern Clash, the finals, SC literally Hanzo spam all game. And we've heard from a lot of players since the Hanzo nerfs, more specifically that range from 7.5 to 6.5, you're not getting the same type of effectiveness, and a lot of people are a little bit more hesitant to pick that. That's why we're not going to see a lot of Hanzo at this tournament. We've heard from some other ones, we don't want to reveal anything to yet, but it's like, what's your new carry hero? And there are some heroes where SC has shined on in the past.
That is true, but just to put what you just said into numbers here for a second, SCSE has picked Hanzo double any other hero throughout the entirety of this year.
Can we also say that's the same thing for SDE on the backside? Literally, Tychus, I think he's like 16-1 or something like that on
I think it's even higher. I think it's like 18-1, but
it's extremely high.
The thing is, that's what I'm excited about this draft. Going to game one is, where does SC go? Does he go back to his old comfort Vala? What happens when he doesn't have the Hanzo, or is he just going to continue to play the Hanzo despite the nerfs? I mean, SC's best heroes historically have been the Vala, the Zeratul that he played when he was melee flex, and then the Hanzo in more recent times. You were talking about Eastern Clash, but in League play, it was Hanzo all the time. He played Hanzo more than anybody else. Ballistix had the highest Hanzo priority of any Korean team. So now that that nerf is in play, how that affects Ballistix, we're going to learn in this first series. So for me, as someone who comes from the Korea region, that's what I'm very excited to see.
I miss 2015 SESC Sylvanas. That was really, really good.
There was also that.
Yeah, there was that. Yeah, I recall now. But, I mean, you mentioned the Valor. We've already seen it today. We've seen it kind of play out earlier on in the day, and it was again from Korea. It feels like Korea's kind of always had that lingering. It's always been there, but never as prominent when, you have things like Hanzo that were able to really kind of propel to that extra level. For a lot of them, I guess they were like, oh, little mini crossbows, or like a really big bow. Oh, that's great. I love this one. But now it's not as strong, a little bit
It's not about the size of your bow.
If you say so. But it feels like that has always been there in the background.
Sure.
To be able to potentially use.
When Ballistix was known as L5, obviously same roster, just different name, different sponsor, right?
Yeah.
With the exception of Magi, of course, taking over for Swoy. We saw a lot of Vala. We saw a lot of double support Vala. We saw the Vala Ariel, the Tafstar Vala Ariel. So Vala has always been a staple hero for SC. And, I think that might be his go-to if Hanzo is not really on the cards.
All right, let's get into it. Draft number 1 here as North America and Korea do battle. Tempo Storm goes up against Ballistix.
I am so incredibly excited. Fan Som, it's a duo that has been at the top of their game for a long time. We're finally going to get to see them go up against this top-tier competition. I feel in the second part, again, going back to the Western Clash, Tempo Storm, after Western Clash, when it came back to League play, they changed their drafts entirely. Their mentality, their mindset, they started playing a lot more meta heroes, a lot more meta like standard in terms of double ranged. And if they can get the Maiev, which we know Som can be incredible on, there's a high priority on that. Will we see the Medivh? This map, sometimes we see the Medivh, sometimes it doesn't. But you got to make sure you have that rotational control between bot mid to make sure that you get that wave clear. And sometimes Medivh doesn't quite stack up to that unless you're all in on a certain composition. So there's a lot that Tempo Storm has available. I'm really curious what they've been developing over the last 4 to 5 weeks to bring here.
Medivh has been the go-to ban against Tempo Storm throughout the season, not by a huge amount, but Ballistix very much going for their personal favorite ban, which is the Maiev. It's significantly more than most of the other heroes they have banned all season.
So
Snap block.
So some of the time, when situations like this presented itself in Korea, most Korean teams would make a choice. When the Tracer ban comes out or some other ban like a Garrosh comes out, you have to make the choice between which Shimada brother you want. Now with the Hanzo nerfs here, it makes sense to me that Ballistix would open this series up with a Genji pick. We're seeing a ton of priority outside of Korea with the Malfurion. Not to mention that Korea has picked Malfurion a few times, but I think they want to grab this Genji. They want to stick to a comfort pick that they used in League play, and they're going to, regardless of what Tempo Storm is going to bring here, they want to have this mobility, they want to have the roaming potential with that Genji pick.
Really curious how Ballistix, Jungha, when I talked to him just yesterday, I was asking him how he feels, because he's known for being into that melee role, the melee assassin, right? That's pretty much where he kind of shone a long time ago. Illidan as recently as last year. But I asked him how he feels about the melee assassins versus warriors. He said he actually prefers the warriors. He prefers to see who he can get in that 1v1 matchup. There's been some questions about Glaurung's play in North America, but towards the end of the season, we saw a lot of Sonya. But then you look at Tempo Storm, a lot of Dahaka as well. They like to use Dahaka on this battleground, get early invades on those siege camps if they're available. And Garrosh is one of the ones that you can walk in. You don't want somebody there, you just throw them over the wall.
Yep.
You can defend against invades as well, and they use that Dahaka, that global, to come down. So will it be the Sonya, will it be the Dahaka, and where does Jungha kind of match up there?
It's going to be interesting, especially with the fact that Uther is probably going to be the support here for Ballistix. Anub is the tank, and there is that Sonya you were alluding to.
Now this is if Ballistix has done research, this is the time in the second ban phase where a lot of teams will start to target that hero pool and see if it's something they can take advantage of. So we'll get to that in a second. Obviously, Tempo has to get a ban here, but that in particular will be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think the second ban here for Ballistix is going to really tell us two things. One, how much the preparation they've done for Tempo Storm and what they want this Sonya pick to mean. Will it be that they're looking for just big frontline, like they're looking for a Rhaegar pick potential, which is very popular in Korea, where you give the Ancestral, you have the ability to use this frontline to allow Genji to get where he needs to be to do maximum damage. There's so many different things that Tempo Storm now has to consider as well, because we've seen the Uther pick already out of Gen G today. This is a pick that can be, or out of Tempest, excuse me, and this is a pick that can be very powerful with Sonya, with the Genji together. So it's not an easy ban now for Tempo Storm. There's so many potential things that Ballistix could pull out. And they are going to ban the Uther. They are going to be safe here, because that's a combo that's so popular in Korea, has been since the beginning, other regions as well, but Korea for even longer. And it just eliminates the potential for that carry Dragon Blade with the Divine Shield.
As much as June has played Malfurion, Magi has played Uther 19 times.
It's a lot.
By far his most played, has an 84% win rate on that. Definitely very effective in the Korean region.
Yeah, and with Mouth taken away, his next go-to in theory would be Rhaegar, which would be, once again, very reasonable here. Ancestral for the Sonya is always effective. But now for Tempo Storm, they still need any kind of damage right now. Hanzo is still available for them if they did want to perhaps default back to that.
And it feels like with the Blaze ban there, Wolf, it looks like they want that Sonya to be just dominant in a top lane potentially.
Oh yeah, and it seems like in general outside of Asia, we're not seeing that much priority on Malthael. We did see it picked up by Europe earlier today, but that's one thing you can pick to deal with the Sonya quite well. And I think this is kind of a test for Tempo Storm with what Ballistix is drafting right now. Is will they go to the Malthael? Will they go for the Dahaka? Are they going to try to go toe-to-toe with this team that's so known for macro, using a macro top laner?
And I want to bring something to light here, because there's an outside shot. If Tempo is looking to rewind the clock a little bit, there's a shot that we might get a Kerrigan mixed in here. It's something that we've seen them do before. I don't think we're going to get that now, but it's one of the things that if you see the aggression, you don't see a whole lot of wave clear between the Anubarak and Genji, then they might try and go toe-to-toe and say, hey, we can bring this in. We get the Jaina, very strong hero for Tempo Storm, great in that wave clear. I talked about the rotations between mid-bottom. Jaina, depending on the threat level, may be able to path through there, especially when you have that Garrosh. You get the toss, you get the roots, and you get the Jaina. It's something that Tempo Storm is known to do. And then we'll also have to keep in mind, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes into the game with the Dahaka, that's the part where I'm excited about, and do we get the early invade?
How do you feel about Dahaka into Sonya? For me, it's like a bit of a rough time for a Dahaka most of the time.
It's a commitment to potentially losing the early game and just sort of holding, freezing the lane if you can, and then trying to capitalize off the global XP in the later game. Or trying to use that extra stun and engage potential to pick up individual heroes. Rhaegar will especially be the target of this due to him being a little bit more vulnerable, and you can't cleanse yourself.
That's a big pressure comp that they've been able to formulate there, I think, Wolf.
I think that Jaina has a lot of potential to bully a little bit here. She can clear not only the bot lane very quickly in the 4-man, but she can also clear siege giant camps very quickly. She has the burst in that area. But the problem is if Jaina ends up wasting her combo in any way, the sustain on the side of Ballistix with Rhaegar, his ability to wave clear as well, clear camps, they're going to have trouble keeping up with Rhaegar, Greymane, Sonya in terms of camps. Like, how does this composition compete? It has to be the Dahaka, which means that Dahaka needs to, they need to force some sort of rotation away for Sonya so that Dahaka can get that value in the top lane. Without it, I think they're going to struggle.
I feel like the main issue for Tempo Storm may be that the entire composition of Ballistix is just going to pile on. Right?
Yeah.
No,
It's definitely possible, which is why I actually wouldn't mind at the last pick perhaps seeing a Tychus here. Something that's going to be a little bit more resilient as the assassin. We're going to see the Thrall, very melee-heavy composition. But once again, Thrall, in terms of those heroes who could either hold down a solo lane or can be rotating with the group, he is very resilient, which is once again going to help if they do get dived.
It's going to be fun to watch because Thrall will likely sit in the mid or rotate mid-bot, and then that's when they get the Tahaka to global in, and then you get that early invade. It's one way that we've seen Tempo Storm, whether it's early, whether it's during that second spawn, and then they get the siege camp, and then they go get the neutral camp, and you said Ballistix has great control over that. So the contention, I think, over that mid-game is going to be a highlight point, and that's where both teams can really turn it.
There's great follow-ups to any initial CC that may come out from Tempo Storm, right? If, say, a Wolf lands, you've got the route, you've got a lot of other options that are available in their composition.
I really like the Thrall pick because it gives you a lot of opportunity to just kill Genji when he's low, because you have the ability to just range Q him, pick him off that way. You can grab him with the Wolf. It's a risky choice, but Sundering is also a great option to shut down this high mobility hero, shut down Sonya so she can't whirlwind away, heal her way out of team fights. So I like the Thrall pick, but will they be able to control the camps? Will they be able to force rotation so Daha can get value in the top lane? I'm not so sure about that. That's what I'm concerned about.
The whole thing with the Nubarak, the initiation, you think about potential Cursed Bullet, you get the initiation of a Nubarak, you get the Cursed Bullet into that. June's going to have to be quick on the trigger on that Nature's Cure at level 7. But even then, there's so much CC, so much initial burst that could come out of here. You get the Genji Swift Strike in. I mean, Garrosh is normally the tankiest, most reliable person on the front line. This is an opportunity where Ballistix can easily get that instant kill. And the minute Garrosh goes down, yes, you have the Dahaka, yes, you have the Thrall. They don't have near as much the same amount of control. So Ballistix has a lot of firepower in their draft.
Time for predictions.
Well, it's probably not a surprise. I'm going to go with Ballistix. I think they have the better because, comfort picks.
Yeah.
They have a draft that suits them. They got Magi's Rhaegar, they've got the Sonya. So going to have to go with Ballistix.
I'm going to agree. I think the camp control and the rotational gank capabilities of Ballistix is potentially going to be too powerful for Tempo Storm to protect themselves against.
Okay.
I know what my mind says.
Yeah, I knew this was going to happen.
My heart says Tempo Storm.
Oh, I respect that.
I was hoping you were going to go full meme. I thought you were going to say, says the same thing. And I was like, oh, okay then. But no, I'm going to go with Ballistix as well, because I'm not crazy. No, I take rest. So 3-1 currently, but an ambitious play coming out from Jay Howe here, as we see what you guys think at home.
Chat's ambitious too.
Oh, hello. America woke up a little.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that Korea's so high here. Normally, the NA Pride's getting in there, but
Welcome, American viewers.
We're happy to have you here along for the ride.
Ready to celebrate.
We're also happy to have the casters along for the ride as well. I'm actually can't even remember who's casting. Hey, look who it is! It's Calvin. It's a box of surprise every time you guys pop up. Brilliant stuff. How's it going, boys?
Pretty good. Excited to finally be in the casting desk here, and I can absolutely appreciate that Jay Howe has faith.
I can appreciate it. I as a North American fan myself, I'm sitting there going like, I want to be on your side, Jay Howe. I'm just not quite so confident.
All right, well, the Grim Dread Door, take it away.
Well, it's going to be an exciting one. North America going up against Korea. What do you think?
I think Tempo got a lot of what they would like for the most part, and execution and then, some of the work that they put into MSB is absolutely going to show if they're going to have success here up against Ballistix.
Well, we have them to the left side. Tempo Storm starting things off with Glorang on Dehaka, Cattle on Garrosh. We have Sam on Jaina, Fan on Thrall, and June on Malfurion.
And in the red here is Ballistix, where we have SC on Genji, Hooligan playing the Anubarak, Zheng Ha playing Sonya, Rhaegar played by Magi, and SDE on the Greymane.
And we're going to find out now if Tempo Storm can take down Ballistix or if they're going to put the Lul into an A.
Is that where we're going with here already?
I had to put it out there, but I actually hope that Tempo Storm is giving Ballistix a run for their money right now. I would really love to see an absolute clash between the two teams here. And Tempo Storm has been super confident. They had a great season in North America, but they said that they didn't really feel they were as strong as a lot of fans perceived, and that right now they are on a completely different power level, and I'm excited to witness it now.
Yeah, I very much am looking for it as well here. The members of Tempo Storm, the fact that they had that level of disappointment is something I think, again, on that shift in mentality of North America is slowly getting a bit more, unaccepting of minor mistakes here and there, and it's very much going like, yeah, we didn't feel like we were able to perform. But again, it's going to have to be displayed here in this game.
And what you just talked about, Kala, for example, when I talked to him, was mentioning how he loves to practice within the European region because they get punished on a completely different level for very different mistakes that they sometimes make, where in their own region in North America, they don't get punished immediately. The Europeans are going to jump on that. So he said the boot camp, it had brought them so much already. And if they can transfer that into the game against Ballistix, then we might maybe be here for an upset.
And even though Ballistix maybe had some moments of struggle within, you know, the Korean HGC, there is one thing that always seems to hold true whenever Hooligan gets himself to the land, and it's like the guy really steps up here. Yeah. So on the Anubarak pick, I'm really excited to see what that makes happen here within the class so far. But as we got the phase opening up here, pretty interesting kind of rotation out from Ballistix with the early night prioritization.
Yeah, super early here. And I mean, one of the advantages that Ballistix already has is that they have with SCSC on Genji always someone who has the mobility on the map to go to the top lane after Sonya takes the lane, then start a bit of a gank, or in this case, just take over, allow Sonya to go to the camp, and then rotate back down.
Ballistix has been looking to get a little bit more in, like, it seems priority towards the top half. Genji making transition towards the top half of the map is not unexpected, and Tempo Storm has heavily kept a majority of their weight on the bottom half of the map, and I can't help but feel like this is a very clever response to the composition on the side of Ballistix, because the kill potential within the 4-man of Tempo Storm is phenomenal. So instead of answering to it, they're just going to say, well, then you need to answer us on the top half of the map, and that is why that night prioritization cleverly done and coming to life here.
And that is actually beautifully done by them, because that push netted them already a tower. Greyman, on the other hand, has fallen. Catalyst moving in up at the side here to the top. The bot lane heavily dominated by Tempo Storm on the other hand. And with those Siege Giant camps that were taken earlier, that is starting to really become a problem for Ballistix.
Yeah, there was a exact same rotation that happened, I mean, literally seconds before that from the members of Tempo Storm, but Greyman was very easily able to make it out with almost taking 0 damage, even with the Garrosh flank down there. I don't know what the difference between Gank Attempt 1 and Gank Attempt 2 was, but very, very profitable there for Tempo Storm. And it's a bit, just a little bit of momentum, but again, that's something they cannot let go of.
Yeah, Psalm over there also with a nice shutdown against SC. But we're still talking about the first objective here, but already first blood in the hands of Tempo Storm, and they're starting to take the position down here at the bottom where we have the 2-on-2 fight. But here comes Genji, and that's the mobility we've been talking about earlier.
Root able to pull off a little bit of kind of aggro there from Tempo Storm, and Fan is going to be able to make it out, even dropping the spray there.
Yeah, spray game absolutely on point. That's always important. To be honest, the synergy with the skins also to an extent, all of them in blue, but Psalm has more trouble at right now. SC going in, and we have both of the Shines now under control of Ballistix as well. Already starting to threaten maybe even the first Dragonite of the game, but Fan is holding the mid lane, at least for now.
And we see Jungha looking to kind of hold his own on the top half of the map. He got a little bit of damage out, and I wonder if that's going to be something kind of Ballistix uses in a couple of minutes to focus on the upper half of the map and make that lane that much more oppressive into Glorong. But for now, I'm amazed at kind of how slow this is. And granted, I give that a little bit more to Tempo Storm not, getting caught out and being swift within the rotations. But so far, it's been a rather, kind of slow start. Hold up, though. SDE getting flipped in. Root's not going to land there, except it will after those body blocks.
Nice kill.
Another kill there for Tempo.
I really like the way that Tempo is playing this. Fan with a super early echo of elements as well, before the 4-minute mark. So now he's just poking away, and they're trying to make a play again against Hooligan here, and he needs to be careful. Psalm with the damage through Jaina, but that's now Tempo Storm with 2 kills against 0. Tiny lead and experience for them as well. And so far, they're definitely holding their own here. Very great, good start for them into this game.
Yeah, and it's on a map like Dragonshire, whenever if the laning phase is working out and kind of trickling deaths into your favor like Tempo Storm, they want this to last as long as possible. So it very much is, the responsibility of Ballistix to mix things up if they're going to make that happen. I will say, if I expect that to happen, it's going to be through Knights, which are going to be spawning very, very soon here, as you see Magi kind of making the transition around them. When that comes up, expect more pressure on the top half, and that's a window of opportunity for Ballistix. But with that in mind, the last one didn't net much for them, so I want to know what they're going to be looking to make happen differently, again, from the first attempt.
One of the things that's also really interesting is there is not really too much good poke on the side of Ballistix and not really too much AoE if you look at how melee-heavy Tempo Storm is. Very North America style here, running with 3 melee heroes, and in those big fights later on, the sustain that they have through that is actually fantastic, and they're going in again against Jongha here. Jongha with a spin to win, Glorong not connecting that last one.
But Genji's winning this rotation as well. Tempo has to be careful. SC goes in with the Swift Strike.
Garrosh coming in as well, but Fan is already low, keeps himself alive for now. Glorong with a drag against Genji and gets the kill. Another one confirmed. Tempo Storm is going in.
And the indomitable use there by Caterpillar to ensure that he does not get knocked out by the impale so he can track down Hooligan. Tempo Storm said that they are feeling of another level, and so far for the first 5 minutes, they are looking it here against the 3rd seed of Korea. 4 kills, a level advantage, and the first Dragonite of the game.
Korea Lul incoming. Tempo Storm definitely bringing the action here right now. First Dragonite for them, 4 kills against 0, and immediately murdering the towers in the mid lane, just increasing the experience lead that they already have.
So with this here, what are we going to see Tempo Storm do? Priority number 1 seemed to be that front wall. Second one here, it didn't seem like we got the immediate force with the 10 advantage like you typically would expect here. So Ballistix will be able to get that Hooligan going for a nice flank here as the 10s are now picked up. Cocoon is an opportunity. Kick out there onto Greymane might be enough to deter that advance, but you can see Ballistix very much is not comfortable giving this up for free.
I mean, right now, Ballistix is definitely looking at their heroic abilities and saying, okay, that early game didn't go our way at all. But now we have level 10s, now we're in the mid game, so if we have the synergy, this is where we make our plays. Tempo Storm, on the other hand, is very well aware of that, and their early game was fantastic. What they need to do is now hold on to that advantage until they get level 13, roll it with the talent lead again, and make sure that they are not taking any disadvantageous fights against Ballistix.
And I feel like a lot of that might come down to that bottom night camp. We'll see if Tempo Storm wants to prioritize that now, or in fact, we'll wait a little bit later. They will. I thought they might try to go a night to night with a clash on the bottom half here, but Tempo takes what they can get, expecting the safe rotation here from the members of Ballistix. And if we take a look at how that first Dragonite phase unfolded, there hasn't been too much to change when it comes to, again, experience advantage or the structural kind of layout of the map so far. So this is, again, I feel like Ballistix has to do something. Granted, I guess there is the heroic difference. That is the major element here between the two.
I mean, one of the big things is that Korean teams, when it comes to execution and to mechanics, usually absolutely shine. This is oftentimes, well, after level 10, they're starting to make the plays. And here comes the Cocoon already, as Ballistix is trying to force before level 13 hits. Tempo Storm with the setup. Here comes the Earthquake. They're trying to go in, and Ballistix has to retreat. Not willing to fight here.
I think that is a very safe play on the side of Ballistix because they just straight did a Cocoon there, you know, sitting at about 50-second cooldown into the Earthquake, which is looking at that 90 on the side of the Thrall. So the fact that they were able to get that trade, maybe cycle it back and make it happen, is going to be smart there from Ballistix. And it was also, you know, Cocooning a Garrosh isolated like that, not typically the highest probability. It was interesting that Ballistix even chose that as the voluntary fight, but good response on Tempo.
I feel a little bit like I think they thought they had to force before level 13.
Yeah.
But right now, the camp that we've seen taken earlier by Ballistix is coming into play because that didn't really do a whole lot but push the lane out. And that allowed Tempo Storm now to rotate top, de-push the lane, and at the same time take their own camp, which is now applying top lane pressure just as 13 is in their hands. And we have the shrines activating in another 20 seconds. So Tempo is looking absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm actually really surprised and pleasantly at that. I really like what I'm seeing.
But on the side of Ballistix, I feel like they had a very good response. Hold up, though. Clean's got to be forced out of Moggy. Jungha's still going to be slowed by that Welly. Glaron comes in there, and Ancestral ends up dropping. Sonya's still going to be able to survive. Now SE joining in the fight. Twilight Dream goes down, hitting 4 members. Nice burrow and passive use from Glaron. He's going to be able to heal right back up. And with that Groundbreaker flip, SDE is gone.
5 kills for Tempo Storm, 0 for Ballistix. A fantastic fight. Genji also barely getting out of that carnage as Tempo Storm was looking for even more kills. And in the meantime, the top lane is just pressuring. That camp, that timing that we've talked about is getting so much value here for Tempo Storm.
Look at that. Again, you heard the analysts talking a little bit about the priority of the Dahaka for North America, especially for Glaurung there. And, it's working out here so far. And now shout out to June as well for that Twilight Dream. That was very, very difficult to be able to deal with.
Hooligan in trouble, trying to E out. The Wolf comes in and he goes down. And Nuburak dead, 6 kills against 0. Did they accidentally switch the team names? What's going on here?
No, but Tempo Storm is just dismantling Ballistix here so far. Catching out a Maki, Brush Dot coming through. Another death there. Fan, gonna go ahead and start the channel, but with Jungha obtaining that top shrine, not gonna be theirs, but still experience so heavy in favor of Tempo.
I mean, it feels a little bit like opposite day. I expected Tempo Storm to come in and put on a show here and really perform stronger, but that is way above anything that I could have expected here. Currently, we see Ballistix just absolutely play to the wall by their opponent.
I agree. I definitely expected a step up here for North America, and I did have a lot of hopes here for Tempo Storm, but I did not think that we would see 7-0. The manner of, it doesn't even feel like Ballistix has an answer. It feels like they're slowly just crumbling, and That is very different than just, hey, we got to win against a Korean team.
It's a 2-level lead already, and they just picked up a Dragonite. We're gonna get 16 any second now, so they have a massive talent advantage and the stats advantage through the levels alone. Tempo Storm is absolutely dominating in game number 2.
And not quite 16, but that fort will be able to pick it up for them. We'll see if they end up committing here towards the night camp or not, excuse me, the night camp, but the key front wall, or in fact, pressure towards the top half. Tempo sticking to what they love to do here is emphasis on the bottom half of the map. Granted, it is, generally speaking, the best for every team to focus on, but specifically Tempo Storm, their best map being Dragonshire, and it is a lot because they execute a triple to double stack camp on the bottom half of the map, and then just go, you have to answer to us, get a couple of kills, and take an early GG.
Dragonite pushing through the bot lane, picking up even more tower experience, and at this point they can easily start poking away at a keep too. They can take the entire map control and go for the camps first here, but with that talent advantage they can definitely start to play a bit more aggressive.
This Dragonite dismantles himself there. Giant's going to be picked up here by Tempo Storm. No response on the side of Ballistix, and purely just because of, again, the 16 talents here. Night Camp is going to be the only part of the map available for themselves. I will say Tempo Storm, normally in this type of situation with this big of an advantage, I feel like they would have absolutely made sure to ensure that all 3 of those stack. In this type of situation, I feel like this is going, yo, this is Ballistix. We aren't going to bite off more than we can chew. Play it safe. We know we can double stack 2. We're going to make it happen.
They're going for Greymane, and SD goes down. The Ancestral comes in too late. Even more damage pushed out, but Hooligan is able to tunnel away. The camps are starting to push through though, and those are still nicely stacked, not perfectly, but this is still going to do work, and they are going to go for that keep. And if they can get another kill, they might go for core, and they go for a Nubarak. The silence comes through. The Ancestral barely keeping Hooligan alive.
It does end up keeping him alive here, but sadly it's not going to be the same story here when looking at the bottom keep for Ballistix. Tempo Storm pick up the first of the game, and they're not done. That double Giants plus that night camp here, so difficult to deal with. Jungha going in trying to rid of that spell armor. Great decision making there from them. Cattle finds Hooligan, flips over the root, and he's done. That is another kill, 9-0. And Tempo, they're looking for core.
9 kills to 0, and Tempo Storm is on their way to victory. SCSC, where the Dragon Blade pops it out and tries to get the slice and dice and going to maybe stop this. But Tempo Storm is still looking for another flip. Cattle at the front, just waiting for an opportunity here. 3-level advantage for North America against Korea.
It's a ridiculous 16 talents here, not even picked up. We're looking at core threatened on a Dragonshire at 13 minutes. 76 and counting here, whittling away at that core. Ballistix has to make something happen here. They have to move out. 40, they're going to go for it. Tempo Storm looking to end the game. 20, 18,
they take it.
They done it. They do not shut it out with the end there, but Tempo Storm, in very convincing fashion, take the win there.
I can only imagine the smug smile on J-How's face as he lovingly looks across the desk to Wolf. This is North America taking Korea down in game number 1.
It was very well done there from Tempo Storm, but we do have to remember that that is Tempo Storm's best map. They are very, very good at controlling a lot of the rotations and transitions there on the battleground. So there's still kind of breathing room left for Ballistix. But I mean, again, that wasn't, hey, we had a North American team win. It was how they ended up winning that you go, uh-oh, this tournament might be very, very different than a lot of people at home, kind of expected.
I'm really, really happy with how this started. Cattle already, with a relief smile, and it's like, oh yeah, this is how we roll. I can't wait for game number 2.
I'm ready for it as well. So we're going to go ahead and throw it over to the analyst desk and see how J-How's smirk looks.
I'd like to first start with a slight public service announcement. Before the game began, I brazenly insinuated that someone may be crazy for choosing Tempo Storm. However, I'd like to publicly apologize here now before I get smashed into a pulp by a jolly green giant to my left-hand side. So, well done, J-How.
Is that a backhanded apology? What?
No,
I apologize, you big oaf. Like what?
No, it's not. Don't hurt me, all right? Like just leave it alone.
Cut the single over there.
But admittedly, we were wrong and rubbish. You were right. That's the TLDR.
Yeah. Okay, most of the analysis segment right now is going to be, wow, that was good.
Yeah.
That was convincing.
Or can we talk about the bad as well, though? Can we talk
absolutely.
about Ballistix' really poor rotations, missed Ancestrals from Magi multiple times, late Late cleanses or sometimes cleanses unnecessary. Also just getting caught. Tempo Storm cut them off a rotation so many times. The Jaina intercepts in the top lane. Tempo Storm looked clean. Ballistix started to fall apart. Then they were just walking into death traps over and over and over again. This is not the same Ballistix that came out of Korea with the top seed.
It's not the same Ballistix, but it is a more improved Tempo Storm. This is what they do. I could break that game down for like 2 hours on what they did right there.
Yeah.
The fact that they had the Thrall the last pick. I talked about they had the lack of wave clear when they had the Genji, then they lock in the Greymane. That is terrible wave clear. I hate to break it to everybody there. And then all of a sudden you've got the Thrall there, the threat of the invade, the disruption in the rotation, the Jaina kill potential. Jaina has more significant wave clear. Echo of Elements, Caldor pointed out, was completed very early. And then a lot of it played to their strengths. That mid-game that I told you about, the Tempo, they love to get double camp. They had the DK, they got the bottom keep wall, they had the threat of 16 talent here. They ended up stealing the first siege camp, but then they double siege camp. I'm in the replay booth. I'm like, give me the timers on these camps. And we actually are going to be able to take a look at that. I want to be able to show it because this is what Tempo Storm does so well on this battleground. This is how they won. Right now, again, just let's pause it here because the main thing is very simple. There's not a lot of action here. It's just structures at this point, right? And you look at the experience up at the top, it's 16 to 14. And we're going to go forward, right? The entire thing here is that camp timings at this moment is the moment where the game changes because it's all about siege camps. If you look at the minimap, it's going to be siege camp. It's going to be down at the bottom. And they instantly start this. And if we pause here, their entire strategy is they have the bot lane pushed out, and you can see on the minimap, right? So this is simply going to buy them time, keep the lane pushed out. Their primary focus is bottom. You can see Dahaka is already down there. And then Jaina is going to split off early as we rotate this. And this is what Tempo Storm does mid-game every single time you see them with a victory. They double, triple camp at this point, and that was actually the key to victory because Jaina split off, Dahaka started. They timed them so well that they meet together the bot lane, and they literally ran down under the threat of the spell armor and the double siege camp. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much threat of CC on the side of Tempo Storm as well, and with the lack of wave clear you were talking about, when you have all those camps going down in the bot lane, you can't really get in there and clear it because you're under threat of Dahaka pulls, the Garrosh, the Jaina burst, so it's very difficult to play against that, and they executed it so well.
Early in the year, when Malfurion could still heal mercenaries, they would run a Tyrael.
I thought you were heading that sentence there.
Or still shield them, right? He could shield, they would heal with Malfurion, healing the camps, and then they would shield Tyrael, and they would just cycle them out, and Moonfire would continue to heal, and they would literally just get a camp mid-game and run it down. A few changes have been made, but they still have a lot of the same strategies. I mean, they literally just won that game 8-0, 9-0, with a 3-level lead.
It was a perfect game.
Yeah,
That was dark times, that was.
there's a player I'd absolutely like to call out here, and that is Fan. He played such a superb Thrall there. Any single gank attempt that went against him was just completely shut down, not even close. And he set up so many of the kills for his teams, considering that last year he was sitting exactly where J-How was for basically the entire event, and now he's coming in and taking out Ballistix in the first game. Quite a progression, and they are looking good.
Yeah, they are. Let's check in with the second map, of course, here, and we can get back to talking about all of these things. Because as you said, there's plenty of stuff that we can talk about from all of these maps.